All right. So Dan Mason, I'm very excited to talk to you. Your official title, let me tell everyone, career and life transition coach. Is it safe to say that you help people get out of their own way?
You could say that. The other way I like to say it is I take unfulfilled high performers and help them trade in the corporate life for their true calling so that they can increase their impact, income, and happiness. Look, when you look at the statistics, Sandy, and this isn't like a COVID related thing per se, the numbers haven't moved much in 20 years. 2 in 3 people, according to Gallup, are completely disengaged at their job. And they're going through the motions. They're just earning the paycheck. They don't love what they do. And I get it. I used to be one of those guys. You know, I was the empty corporate suit who worked in the radio industry. I didn't have the cool job like you. I was just behind the scenes, like, you know, in the conference room and all those meetings where everybody would sit around and disingenuously applaud at the PowerPoint screen. So I was that guy.
I feel it in my soul when you say that. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, you probably had to go into those meetings before and do the dog and pony show. But, you know, look, I made a great living. I had the approval of my parents. My life looked awesome on Instagram, but it all came to a head for me. Oddly enough, the place where I had my epiphany was in Taylor Swift's living room at her $25 million Tribeca apartment. I was there for some industry listening party. And everybody's lined up to like kiss the ring and get their photo op with Taylor and pose with the Grammy Awards. And I had this moment. I was like, wouldn't it be great if I felt as good about my life as I tried to curate it to look on Instagram? Because Facebook, Instagram, it was everything looked awesome. Lived in a great house, got to take nice vacations, got to meet some celebrities every now and then. And people were like, damn, made it. And I used to live for that. Like I wanted to present that image to people that I had made it. And yet underneath it, I felt completely empty about all of it. And I felt like it was too late at that point in my life to reinvent. I didn't really see an out or another way to go. And I think that there's a lot of people who are in that.
But that visual alone is so symbolic. It doesn't have to be at Taylor Swift's house, but what it represents is a moment that everybody would want to be present for, and you're just not into it. Yeah. You just wonder, should I be happier? I feel like I should. Everyone wants to be this right now. Why am I not excited about it?
You know, one of my former clients is a gold medal winning athlete. She was on my podcast a couple of years ago, and she talked about, you know, working to get this X Games gold medal. She thought that that was going to be the thing that fulfilled her, and being at the podium and wearing the medal and completely being checked out and feeling unfulfilled by it. So it doesn't matter what you do for a living. I think that there's a lot of people who live by what I like to call the next big thing syndrome. You know, if I get the next pay raise, if I get the next promotion, if I get the bigger house down at the end of the street, you know, with the pool, or if I live in the gated community, or get the next relationship, then I'll be happy. And the problem with that is that life is what's happening in the present moment. So, it's not what's happening 2 years in the future. You have to learn to be able to cultivate happiness right now, which a lot of that means being connected to your purpose, knowing who you are, not just what you do for a living. And I think that that's the disconnect for most of us.
Well, and also how, especially because we're still technically in this pandemic, I think it's made a lot of us think and be alone with our darkness. And you think to yourself, who actually am I? What do I love? What could I see myself doing that's just fun? So you explore all these areas, but for you personally, like how scary was it for you to leave that corporate world? Because I think a lot of people are in transition, but don't know how to make that first step.
Yeah, most people, like, here's the thing. If you look at the statistics, the average adult will change jobs 7 to 9 times over the course of their life. It's not so much that we're afraid of the job change, but we're afraid of losing our identity. Because it's usually how we introduce ourselves. If I go up to you and, I'm like, hi, I'm Dan. Dan, what do you do? Oh, I'm a career and life reinvention coach. You would tell me, oh, I'm Sandy. Yeah, I'm on the radio, right? We define ourselves so much by that one-dimensional title. And we don't realize that there's all these other unique parts to us. When I believed I was just a radio executive back in the day, I was like, who else is going to hire me? I'm not qualified to do anything other than play the next Justin Bieber song every 15 minutes on the radio. No offense to radio, but a couple of the listeners are like, yeah, they're playing these songs a little bit too much. But what I didn't realize is I was a content creator. I was a speaker. I was a writer. As a boss, I was a leader. I was a motivator. I was good at helping people identify goals and creating an action plan to achieve it. I also knew just me away from all that. I'm somebody with a lot of empathy. And once I started to really get clear on my values and my gifts, not just the skill set. I think a lot of people focus on their skills, but the thing is, the skill set is just the stuff that you've rehearsed over and over that's helped you climb the corporate ladder. It's really about focusing on your gifts. What are the things that come easily to you? What are the things that are natural for you? And you actually love them. Skill set can be things that you're good at, but you could give a crap about. Like you don't want to do the work. Your gifts are the things that light you up. So when you take that and shift from focusing on skills to gifts, it really starts to open you up to new lanes, new possibilities, new opportunities.
Do you think people are afraid to not accept the fact, but to explore the fact that they can make money off what they love to do? Because a lot of these things seem like hobbies in retrospect.
Yeah, look, one of the questions that I get a lot, and one of the things I think you even shared with me before the interview is, what is this stigma about making money doing what you love? There's no stigma, right? We get excited when we see the people on Shark Tank, close a $2 million deal for their product idea. Yeah. When we see somebody who came from nothing and they transform their life and do something really meaningful or create a piece of art or create an idea or a business that changes the world, we stand up and cheer for those people. The thing is, we just don't believe it's possible for us. So it's less of a stigma when we see it. Yeah. It's more of a trigger, because when you see somebody who didn't need all the things that you've told yourself that you need to take the leap, $1 million in the bank, a perfect childhood, supportive, partner and family, when they're still able to succeed with none of that, it really forces us to do one of two things. We either have to self-evaluate and let go of all those BS stories that we've told ourselves about why we're not ready to move right now. And, number two, it's the thing is we've got to start arguing for the possibilities in our life rather than the limitations. And both of those are really scary, because a lot of times we can build an identity based on the limitations, that I'm not enough. I don't have enough. People would never love me if I really showed them who I am. And once that becomes an identity, it's hard to move beyond it.
Well, and you only know what you're going to lose because it's all you know. You don't know the future. You don't know what you're going to gain. So I think our logical brains think, oh, crap, well, if I leave this, if I start this, what does this mean for who I am right now in this second, not who I could transform to be?
Yeah, fear of failure is the thing most people think about when they're navigating the transition. But when you think about it, failure doesn't really require much. There's not a big risk, right? Like if you decide that you want to change, if you're completely unfulfilled and unhappy where you're at, and you decide to change lanes and it doesn't work out, what's going to happen at the end of that? You're going to be in the same place. You're going to be unfulfilled and unhappy. Usually it's not so much the fear of failure that keeps people stuck. It's the fear of success, because the fear of success means, oh, I might have to let people see who I really am and not just this version of me that plays the game and says yes to everybody else before myself. Fear of success also will require you to start setting boundaries, to start saying no. Fear of success means that you have to learn new skills and skill up. And that's the part most people are scared by. You could go after your dream and fail, and not much is going to change emotionally in your life day to day. Success requires a new version of you, and it's hard to step into that for many people. And that's why I think having a coach, a therapist, somebody in your corner to support you through that process so you're not going through it alone is so powerful.
God, that's amazing. That's exactly what I'm going through right now. Not with weight loss, but with being accountable. And I realized we've done everything else. It hasn't worked. Now we're in a corner. So the only thing we can do is actually commit to something, discipline, being accountable, having a coach, having someone to help you with this. It's
And
hard.
what is that? What is the area of accountability for you that is the roadblock? Is there like
for me, it's definitely my health, my fitness, my wellness, weight loss, all of that. And I just had been through my whole life, self-sabotage, shame, binge eating, all of that is in the same category, and just within, especially last year, you sit alone with that darkness. And I got more time, not like I know anything I'm doing right now, but I know my brain has changed. I'm tired of being in the darkness. I've been there enough. Let's try to actually give a crap and do the work.
Yeah. And I have so much compassion for that. And you're doing the thing that a lot of people do when they're working toward a goal and the results aren't happening. It becomes the shame cycle, right? Well, I'm not disciplined. I'm not enough, blah, 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 blah. I'm self-sabotaging. And the thing and I've done this work now with people in 17 countries, right? And I have invested an inordinate amount of money in my own growth and my own personal development. Self-sabotage does not exist. That is not a real thing. Nobody wakes up in the morning. You don't wake up in the morning and yawn and stretch and go, oh, man, how can I screw up my fitness goals today? How can I hold myself back from having the physical and emotional health I want? Nobody does that. But if there is a subconscious part of you that believes it's unsafe or that you're undeserving or unworthy to have the thing that you want, then you'll protect yourself by any means necessary. I'll give you a story here. This happened with more than one client who's struggled with binge eating in the past. And I'm not making any projections on what your story is, but to give you the example, people who've struggled with binge eating. And then you get clear about when did the weight become a problem. I've had 2 clients where it started in college, where they put on a bunch of weight all at once. But it was also around the time when there was a sexual assault at a college party. And there is a part of them subconsciously that believes, well, if I look too good, therefore I'm a target, I'm a threat. So it's almost like hibernating and putting on a coat of armor. Now that's a really extreme example. And, I want to be clear, that's not at the core of what's holding everybody back. But if there is any part of you that thinks there's a lot of people that want to have more money, right? I want to have $1 million in the bank, but they grew up in a home where they were told money is the root of all evil. All rich people are jerks. And then what they end up subconsciously saying, well, I need to continue to struggle for money to fit in with the family because I don't want to be one of the evil or bad people. So, when we talk about identity, that's such that's it at the end of the day. Most self-help doesn't work for people because you're trying to change a behavior. You're trying to say, oh, I'm just going to go to the gym more, or I'm going to quit procrastinating. I'm going to quit binge eating. But if you're just trying to change at the level of behavior up here at the surface level, the challenge with that is you're trying to use willpower and you're trying to use your conscious mind, which only controls about 5% of our thoughts and actions. Everything else is happening subconsciously. And until you find out what that thing is, what is the part of you that is scared to have the thing that you want? That was a big thing for me. I mean, it's not just that I worked in radio. My father worked in radio. My father's in the National Radio Hall of Fame.
No
so there
pressure.
was always part of me that was like, if I walk away from this, it's not just that I'm giving up my career, but I'm sort of giving up the family business. And what's my family going to say about that? That felt like a threat. There was a part of me, although it never happened, that was like, oh my God, are they going to love me less? Will they be less proud of me? Right. So I stayed in my career 4 years longer than I should because I was frozen and terrified. So we don't get what we want up here at the top level of trying to change a behavior. What we usually get is our identity. And if there's any part of you that says, again, it's unsafe, I can't have this, I don't deserve to have it, that part of you will win out every single time. And that's the work that I do with people, is helping them really get beyond the surface level to what's at the heart of holding you back. And once you understand that, we can shift that energy and, create some new beliefs, reprogram that part of you and move forward quickly.
It is really, excuse me, it's really brave work. to do one, to assist people on that, but to be brave enough to take that path, because a lot of this is unconscious. We don't even know we have these values we placed on ourselves, or these identities that have been placed on us that we just kind of took on. Because when we were young, we grew up, our parents, our families, our peers, whatever. And all of a sudden our identity is just, oh, this is the life I've lived up until this point. But it really does take getting into the nitty gritty of your own damn soul.
Yeah, nobody's born with a belief. Think about that. You came out of the womb with no beliefs. So all the beliefs that you have about money, about love, about men, about women, about your own ability, at some point, those were indoctrinated. And until you get clear on what is the moment that I made this belief, that I made this decision, you're always going to be taking one step forward and three steps back, because willpower is a muscle, and eventually that wears off. Grocery stores have figured that out. Have you ever done the thing? Like, I go to Whole Foods, I'm like, I'm going to get all the organic kale, and here's some almond milk and all these things that are healthy. And you make all these decisions, and then you get to the end cap of Whole Foods, and what do they have? Those damn peanut butter cups. Those huge, like, it's at the end of like every cash register, and you're like, well, I bought all this healthy stuff. Sure, I can eat 3 of these peanut butter cups on the way home. Right.
I was just going to say, the rule is you eat it in the car before it gets in the house. It doesn't count.
Yeah. The calories don't count if you eat it on the drive home.
Right.
So, but that's another way, like the willpower alone, you're always going to revert back to who you are at the level of identity and what you believe about yourself. And the beliefs, the thing is most of us think our beliefs are what we put on our Instagram bio or what we want to present to the world. Your beliefs come out in those moments when you aren't getting your way, when things aren't happening as quickly as you want. How do you talk to yourself then in those moments when you're alone? And that's when you can really get clear on, oh, this is what I really believe about myself. And if that's misaligned, if you're not cheerleading for yourself in those moments where you don't show up as your best self, or you fall off track, then there's some deeper work to do.
This is amazing. I wish we had like 5 hours. I love all of this. It's so helpful. And thank you for being brave enough to make that change however many years ago. When did you change officially to out of radio?
Yeah, I walked out of corporates. It was the week of Halloween. It was October of 2015. So okay. I'm in my 6th year of doing this now, and it's been amazing. I've been able to help clients in 17 countries. I've been able to write about some of these things and be featured at places like the Huffington Post and Thrive Global. My podcast, Life Amplified, debuted #1 globally when we launched it in 2017. So we're over 130 episodes in on that. And what's crazy is if you told me that this would be my path 7 years ago, I never would have believed it. I never set out, when I decided to find my purpose, I never set out to say, oh, I'm going to become a coach. I thought I was just going to become a writer. I thought I was going to write America's next great Broadway play. And then I started taking that action and realized I don't enjoy this. It's been fun. But I met somebody at the writing workshops I was going to who referred me to a podcast. He's like, I know that you're sort of seeking spiritually. Check out this podcast. The host of that podcast became my first coach.
No way.
And in doing that work with the coach, I felt really moved by what I was doing. I was learning so much about myself, and I wanted to share it with other people. So I started just going on meetup.com and facilitating free meetups, when I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida. And random strangers would show up, and they would take what I was teaching, and they'd make these big improvements in their life. And a couple of them came back and said, hey, can I pay you to work with me privately? So I fell into this completely backwards. And I think that that's the big takeaway for somebody who's watching today. They're like, how do I get started though? It's just honoring the desire, right? For me, the initial desire was I'm going to write a Broadway play. And then once I realized that wasn't the thing, it was the wrong step, but the wrong step still led me to the thing. And there's so many people who are afraid if I take a wrong step, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm a failure, so that they never get started. So it's really honoring your desires. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. The universe usually has a way better plan for that figured out than you do. Just say yes, take the next step in front of you.
Well, and our egos want to believe we have this all figured out. And it's okay to admit we don't. It's okay. It's okay to be a little messy with it.
For sure. It's taking the next messy, imperfect action step at every point. And look, if I had tried to figure this out by myself, I'd probably still be rotting in the corporate conference room, sitting there applauding at the PowerPoints. Make sure that you have support in your life, that if you have a great therapist, a coach, but somebody who has a track record of creating the thing that you want. Most of us take advice from people who have no business giving it. We lean on family, we lean on friends. Everybody's got like that one friend who can't who's been divorced like 6 times. And then they want to tell you what you should do in your relationship.
Love advice. Yeah.
Maybe that's not the right person to take advice from in that situation, Make sure you're getting the right advice and not proximity advice from the people who just happen to be there.
Oh, I love the proximity advice. Great suggestion. Okay. Yeah. So your podcast is called Life Amplified. And where can people find you if they want to reach out for coaching or just learn more about you?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at CSCDanMason, or you can just go to my website directly, creativesoulcoaching.net. And all the info's up there. You can fill out an application. We can jump on a complimentary call, talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and how I can help you get there quicker.
Thank you so much, Dan. You're the best.
My pleasure. Thank you.